Hello, it's Lillin, and today, continuation of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I believe... wait, let's click this first. I believe last time... what was it? William Shamspeare came back to life. Yeah. And that's where we were in. I always think it's always super loud. Why don't they let you change the volume? Actually, wait, I have a thing here to do that. I should have did that forever ago. Volume mixer. Oh, log is turning lower here. Okay, wait. Maybe this much is good enough. Yeah, maybe it's okay. But yep, let's see. And we're in trial part, and that's the funnest part for me. The trial part. Where we find out, or we figure out the contradictions and say, you are a liar, you sure this is true, essentially. So yeah, let's continue that. Although before I do that, apparently, I don't know, the word Luffy's trending on Twitter. I mean, X-Twitter. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they finally got to that part. That part in the anime, I guess. I already updated on the manga, so... it's alright. I was like, oh, that part. Okay. Anyway. Back to Ace Attorney. Let's see. What's happening next again? Yeah, so William Shamspeare came back to life, and then he's like, nope, Natsume Soseki's the one who poisoned me. Trial. And that's where we stopped. 22nd February, 9:23 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. I assume it's like the day of. I want to turn the volume up now. Is this even loud enough? Wait, let me hear it. Oh wait, I can't hear it if... wait. Oh. Wait. Hmm? It's so fast that I... oh, because it... okay, wait. You know, I don't know. I don't know anymore. If it's too low, oh well. It's probably... let me turn this up, actually. I think it's always sound effects is too loud, but everything else is actually okay. There. I think this is good enough, whatever. Ah, wait, history. Wait, I need to click this too. History. Okay, the Old Bailey. What? This place always makes me feel strange. In what way? I seem to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat all at the same time. I was copying, I was regular nervous. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! Wasn't that like the day before? He's being tried again, like, twice in a week in like a span of a couple days. Good morning! Good morning, Miss Natsume. It was only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here. Yes, we somehow managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this! Another morning, another murder, and here I am again in this hellhole. Can't keep coming to court. Well, yes you can. I'm beginning to think he's right. It really does seem as though he's cursed. Oh yeah, she's in a new outfit. I was like, who are you? Not who are you, but... I was like, oh, she's in another outfit. Mr. Naruto, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh! Yeah, I know too. Mr. Natsume, good morning. Yes, good morning. So, here we are again. Yes, again. Awkward. Judicial system is Mikoto by Esquires. What's the bad news? Oh dear, you heard, did you? if you come in shouting at the top of your voice. People can't help hearing what you say! Oh, I'm sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Mrs. Sato. Now, what is it? What is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial— oh my god, it's the Reaper, isn't it? Will be led by Lord Barak von Six. Yeah, we all knew that. But Von Six? No! Oh no! Oh no no no! BGM. Sounds like church BGM. The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, most legendary prosecutor in the land. If you're not covering anything, right? I'm good. Okay. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth. We managed to pull through, but still. Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter, after all. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper that says, nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Van Zieks is the prosecutor. But he's saved because he was in Japan, so it's all good. Oh no! That even if that person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another. And we've experienced it firsthand. The fire incident, yep. The man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey. I'm pretty sure there was someone else who did it. Set him on fire. Will we ever find out who it is? Do I have to put up with those ice-cold eyes boring into my soul again? I think that's not the worst part. Cursed by evil spirits and now by the Reaper. Prepare to fight perils potentially. Potentially. It's not potentially, it's for sure, right? Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume. Look, I'm student, Mr. Naruto Squire. Yes? I'm innocent, you have to believe me. You, more than anyone now. I mean, well, I already defended you for one time already, so don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear. Oh, I should turn off my fan. I had a fan on. Yes, it's hot. Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom. Let's go! Oh, yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it, Mr. Holmes, I mean. Oh, really? That's probably for the best. Oh! How dare you, right? She's like, how dare you? If he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zieks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling. Mr. Naruto. You're right. Yes, you're so right. Oh, well said, welcome student Mr. Naruto Esquire, well said. Well, I mean, that doesn't help your case. I think Holmes being here would help your case more, but okay. I swear on this sword at my side, and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free, with honor. Oh yes. February 9:40 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I don't remember the voices, so everyone's having new voices. I now call upon the counsels for prosecution and defense to declare the willingness to proceed. He's holding it like a man, like Dracula. Prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat. I feel like that's so unnecessary to say, but okay. It's not just in my imagination. It's really there. Wait. Okay. Lord Van Zieks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. Maybe his ex-Japanese girlfriend broke up with him. It was some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason, only when I'm defending. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Suzuki-san's trial. Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Oh, the 6 again? You've been chosen at random, I doubt it, to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty? Absolutely, I had a feeling this Larkin was innocent before. Yes, it's exactly the same people. What the heck, man? This ain't random. I must say that I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat refuses to sit right. Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually. Oh, this is new. I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick. Couldn't agree more. I need to take home 5 bob tonight, or the missus will go through the roof. He's old. He's also old. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict. The British jury system is so very different to our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public, and that the judge can only pass sentence when all jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt. Well, I mean, we had this like 3, 4, 5 times, except 5 of the 6 are all here again. 6 citizens of London chosen at random, or at least that's the idea. That's something not random. The prosecution would draw attention to the fact that the accuser was on trial here but 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today. That's not random then. Very well, let us commence the trial. Lord Van Dijk, your opening statement, please. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past decision. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoing in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he uses freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime, namely that of the attempted murder of his neighboring lodger, an innocent Englishman. Oh, you're going through like, oh, this is us and that's them, us versus them type of thing. To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls its witnesses to the stand. Miss Cloak, the detective responsible for investigating the case, and accuser himself. Lol. Holmes is... Oh, it's not Holmes. I thought it was the other detective. Witnesses, your names and occupations, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. It's Suzuki from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture. Mr. Natsume? Yes, my lord, sir. I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken that you swore an oath never to set a foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday. It was yesterday. The day before, in fact, my lord. But close enough. Believe me, this is the last place I want to be. Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case for the court. Where you are, sir. There are too many guys. All their voices are clashing. The incident occurred at the Gyakuten household where the defendant has lodgings. In the ground floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant has already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in his room as a result of poisoning by strychnine, whatever time. He was found the following morning when the landlord, suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door. Our landlord's still suspicious though. This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident. Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible. Although the victim, Mr. Shakespeare, lives to tell a tale, he very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when we first found him. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord. And I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it looked. Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased. That's right, everyone present believed that's exactly what he was. Very well, I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. Crime scene has been entered in court record. Photographic print of the scene taken by police upon their arrival. The victim can be seen unconscious at the table, having been poisoned. Okay, wait, let me look at it. Wrong button. Oh wait, did we look at this yet? We didn't. This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking. Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. I always scoop it down too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper way to take tea. Oh, no tea ring on the inside of Natsume's cup. This must be the cup that Mr. Shakespeare was drinking from then. I don't know. If the tea is like that, usually if you drink it little by little, there's multiple rings. But in this case, it's only one ring, as if it's been at that level the whole time and it suddenly got emptied really fast. I find that kind of weird. It's stained on the inside. Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea. Oh really? I've never noticed before. Maybe you don't do your dishes. Never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. Oh, that part. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear. So many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese. Anything else? Guess not, but all cracked. I saw this one. So we have the tea things here, but maybe not. I don't know. Also, this part's leaking. No, then, Mr. Natsume. Yes? As a defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. A woman was stabbed by no one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me! What about me? I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsume? How? Even on that fateful night, it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shakespeare's room, I think someone's gonna stop him. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me! You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsume. But it's so cold! My runny nose would freeze! The point is that I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed? Maybe like off-topic dude. Thank you, witness. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of the events. No, you don't. If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive point. Conclusive? Go on. Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shakespeare, has regained consciousness after his ordeal, and he has named the true culprit. Not the true culprit, like the one culprit. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused. Yeah, we all knew that. The accused? Good grief! Order! Order! Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. If Soseki-san is innocent, then why? Why has the victim accused him? Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you to say to this accusation? That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shakespeare's room. As a gift, the public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never. The public pump was frozen, you say? That's not information we've heard before. That will do, thank you. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection? None whatsoever, my lord. Good. Then you will give your account of events on the night in question to the court now. Yes, my lord. And we're back. Okay, moment of truth. The catastrophic night. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor, and I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. My tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? That's maybe. Oh. Strike 9. Takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. But the way he's holding the cup was weird. Wait, water. Okay. Oh. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Still found weird how he's holding the cup still, though. The whole time. Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward. Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Nutsmith claims his tea to have been harmless. Presumably, though. Yeah, that's true. He would have drank it, though. The same one. The teacups have been examined for traces of the poison, haven't they? Why didn't I think of that? Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to. Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect substance. How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done? My learned Nipponese friend is falsely incensed. What? The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine tea, not that it was overlooked. Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There was none left, not a drop. So someone must have been very thirsty indeed. With current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances. We only need a drop, but that one drop does actually have to exist, funnily enough. The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question. I see, thank you. The matter is clear. Place your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? Other than, You can see in their faces, I'm sure, the recognition of the accused's guilt. So fast, dude. Your client's fate is all but sealed. No, if it was the tea that was poisoned, then Natsume himself would have been poisoned. Give me a moment's nip from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity. He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me. But I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Counsel for defense, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Okay. Mine, and if it took some tea with me as a gift. That means you drank it too. A literary debate about Shakespeare's works, I think you said, didn't you? Shakespeare? Ah, a very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Oh, yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger? It was a profound, pleasurable parley. Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger? I know I'm going to regret asking this, but how did the debate go? Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment. We battled it out in a Greco-Roman style, naturally. What? Mr. Shakespeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for just such a contest. So when you say a reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume? He as Romeo, I as Juliet, and after a vigorous, wild tussle, I as Juliet came out on top. A victory I'll cherish forever. I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage. The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct? I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see. It's true, there was no sign of any tea leaves in the man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such suspicion? My tea was harmless, of course it was. Yeah, he drank it. And do you have any basis for that statement, witness? He drank it. He couldn't have locked the door behind otherwise, could he? I still think... Wait, let me try. I feel like I could just win this instantly. It was harmless. Because he drank it, right? Because he drank it. Oh, it didn't work. That statement was contradictory in a number of ways, I think you'll find. In a number of ways, you say? That's right, my lord, in a number of ways. Perhaps it would serve you well to concentrate your efforts on one contradiction at a time, counsel. Darn it. I made a bit of a mistake in that. In a number of ways, actually. Okay, fine. I'll go to the mall. Were you and your neighbor good friends then? No, we weren't friends. Not at all. Not at all. Never, ever. What? A simple no would have sufficed. Wait, did he just bring up his armband that doesn't exist on this outfit? That's funny. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit? Mr. Shakespeare fancies himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together. Isn't that a friend? Come now, no Nipponese could understand the finer points of English literature. Wow, racist. On the question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume. It was the day of my last trial, when I was acquitted. I just arrived back in my lodgings, when I ran into Mr. Shakespeare outside on the street. That was at around 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though. I promised to visit his room that evening at 9 to continue our debate, but did I have ill intentions? No, not one, not two, not any, not at all. Never, ever. A simple no would have sufficed, I feel. Yep. And tell the court what did happen when you visited the victim's room. Okay. Of course, okay then. This part. Yes, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? Because he drank it all. That's correct. Anyone would think the fellow had never had a pot of tea before. He must have licked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we would have needed to analyze it for poison. And you say that you returned home to your room at 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsume? Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it. The landlord was able to verify that, as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night. And how is the landlord able to attest to this? He said that it was the lamps, I believe. The lamps, Inspector. When tenants return to their rooms and start using gas, lamps in other parts of the house flicker. Yes, Mr. Scaradeb seems to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants. There's only one key to Mr. Shakespeare's room. I know that for certain. So he must have locked the door himself from inside his room. Victim has confirmed that to be the case, yes. So I'm right. My tea was harmless. Completely harmless. If you take poison, you die. Everyone knows that. It's not that simple, I'm afraid. What do you mean? And then there was that other talk. How long does it take for symptoms to appear then? According to the coroner I was speaking to at the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison is consumed. Wait, they left around 11 though. It was 9. Then the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping, and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. So there's the 30-minute interval between when the poison is ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Well, like the last case. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful. 30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. Not if you drink at 9. You can't deny that. And it further degrades Soseki-san's alibi. Oh, I have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells it out really. The accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well. The court will add this report to the court record as evidence. Oh, it obviously mentions the poison as well as other details. Oh, let's look at it. Oh yes, I see here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Great. Okay, let's look at it. "31 victim. Cause of coma. Ingestion of a small quantity of strychnine. Toxic effects present 30 minutes after ingestion. High likelihood of substance having been mixed with the tea the victim was drinking. But no sample could be taken." Yeah, but he drank it then. I mean, not Soseki did. Oh, here it is, a time thing. Poisoning incident occurred at around 1:30 a.m. on 21st. Assessed from the victim's pocket watch that appears to have broken when the man collapsed after delayed onset of symptoms. No container for poison was found at the scene. When did he leave again? No. When did he leave? That's what I want to know. Argument still stands, you say? This is what Mr. Natsume has been saying, isn't it? A pair of them drank tea together that night, so if there was poison in it, yeah, Natsume Soseki would have also been poisoned. The victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door after the accused left later on. I thought that already the whole time. Exactly, yeah, me and my tea are innocent, sweet and innocent, I tell you. I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as you did that, Mr. Shamspear could have locked the door after you'd gone. But no! We drank the tea straight away! The battle over whether Romeo and Juliet was stronger, that came after the tea. Oh. Do you have any evidence to support that statement? Maybe ask the defendant. Or ask the victim. Ask the victim. In my great homeland, the Empire of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot. Sure, proper will satisfy the prosecution. I'm afraid there's no conclusive evidence proof to support the defendant's assertion. On the contrary, there are sufficient grounds to infer his guilt in this matter. No. Okay. I still think he drank it though. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? If I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently, yet Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. Right? I agree. We need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty. As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison and the tea. Dude, that's what I thought too. Let's listen to carefully to this testimony again. Yes. In fact, he drank it though. Maybe it's this one. Let me save again. I already got another thing, so. Wait, he went back at 11. Wait, he's poisoned at 1:30. What the heck, man? He says poison once 1:30 a.m. Mr. Natsume, you say it was 11 p.m. when you left to return to your room, correct? Yes! And Inspector Gregson, can we rely on the information in the medical record report unconditionally? Of course we can. There's no problem with that report, Sunshine. Actually, I think there's a very big problem, because there's a chronological inconsistency between it and the defendant's testimony. What? What are you on about? I feel like they could just be like, oh, then he's lying. He probably got the time mistaken. It was actually like 2 a.m. they went back to his room or something. Or like 1 a.m. According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 hours after the defendant left? I mean, he could have drank it after and just didn't drink the whole time, maybe? Wow, they both... The defense argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Benzix? He's like, can't believe you made me do this, but now I will do it. I want some food now because of the inspector's potatoes. Pray forgive the discourtesy if my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice's luncheon. Me too, I was thinking about lunch too. How could it have happened, you ask? He drank it after. I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? I thought that already though. Is it so hard to imagine the victim drank his tea after the Kisei left? I know, right? For example, at the time stated in the medical report. Yes, at around 1:30. So Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there's a well-known saying, no one cares about that word. Drink tea while it's hot. And in my country, there is an even more apt saying. There's nothing more refreshing than cold tea. But they drank it together. You just ask the victim whether he drank it before or after. I think the victim's lying though. Victim probably has hiding something, so he's like, oh well, I'll just accuse this other guy. The point is, if there was such a long gap, there may be other ways to explain how the victim can be poisoned. Other possibilities. What sort of possibilities, counsel? Another person in the room. Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor. Yeah. Another visitor? That's a very bold assertion, my learned friend. From someone who has nothing to substantiate it. Or the victim could have taken a poison of his own volition. Was it a violation or volition? You suggest this may have been a suicide, counsel? Mr. Shanspeare has categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted. Wow. But he could be lying. I mean, that goes for everyone. Yeah, if you say that, there's nothing you can believe in. If something wrong, Lord Benzix. I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Carriage? All victims here? What carriage? You would see that the key player in this case has just arrived. What the? There's no voice for that though. Out, brief candle. Eyes but a walking shadow. I forgot his voice. The poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. I don't know enough Shakespeare. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Who, sir, are you? William Shakespeare, my lord. Alas, 'twas I, undone by these bitter events. I am the victim. What? What's he doing here? Well, he just stands right there. The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed. You're calling him as a witness? I mean, he's alive, I guess. Very well, counsel. Oh, very well, counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself. Oh my god, he has a staff. Which has the jester-looking hat thing. Happy am I, Shakespeare, to regale thee with my tale of woe, my lord. But I still have my own tale to tell. My own tale of worse woe. I can regale the court with a tale of my perfect innocence in perfect English. Okay, shut up now. That would do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim. Smile. Wait, who you? Who's that guy again? Alright, so that's Mr. Shakespeare. But who's that other man beside him? Yes, I feel sure that we've caught a glimpse of that man before. State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses. A writer of words so sweet, they do scent the breeze. An inventor of ideas so profound, they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare, or the bard, great bard to be recalled to life anew. Lo, what a magnificent man! Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shakespeare. Oh, name is Mitterman, Adron B. Mitterman. I work for the Altamont Gas Company, East End Branch Office. Oh, gas company. Ah, I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yes, she's right, it's him. Who? Oh, that guy. The guy was spying. I don't know. The gas. Maybe gas guy's involved with the soap. Soap black market business, maybe. He looks like he's trying to see this. Looks like he's at the lodgings. Or about the other guy. There's something wrong, Mr. Naruto. Excuse me, can we have a word? Rah. It's like time to go. GG, goodbye. Look at that guy. Oh, he still has a cute mouse thingy on his shoulder. Yes, we spotted him outside Mr. Gyakuten house that morning. And he's a gas company employee? What does he have to do with this case? Oh, Sunwani. Good afternoon. I'm just playing this like usual. So, Mr. William Shakespeare, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct? Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember that sweet poison that this crossed me and crossed mine innocent lips? I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission naturally. Hearing the testimony of the aggrieved will remove any room for doubt from the juror's mind, I'm sure. Behold, you only have to rearrange the letters of my name to see that me's a seraph, an angel indeed. Wow, narcissist. Not using alternate costumes though while storing up by Sato Vanitas. I know, they're cool looking now. Kind of. They're like cyberpunk. Maybe not cyber, just punk maybe. Thus be I noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart, all heavenly angels be, narcissist. Because there isn't a less contrived meaning in your name. No, not at all. The jurors seem to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid. One of those has little to do with spelling. Subpoena. What's subpoena? Okay. Actually taking the seraph anagram idea seriously? Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions. But my lord, what's the man next to Mr. Shakespeare doing here? The gas man, I mean. Yeah, well now. Allow me to enlighten my learned friend. Recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence? When you suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question, and moreover, that the victim is a compulsive liar. That's a terrible way to say it, but okay. What? No, I didn't quite say that. This young chin stroker. What? is here to controvert your wild claims conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Meter Man? Wow, his name is so Meter Man that it's so... He's born to be in the gas company, I guess. Hey, hang on, no, I'm just here. I hereby call for your formal testimonies. You will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. One may smile and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken. The truth of that wintry night of my discontent. Oh, he is stroking his chin. That's weird. The way he's stroking it, I mean. Wintry night of my discontent. The snow lay about. My neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But merry, bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, naught else. I was outside his Brook's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. No one else visits his room but that short little round-backed eastern fellow. How did you know that? The windows are bricked in. What? There's no way you would have known. Unless there's a, you know, a secret you guys are hiding. Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shamspeare's room all night? Yeah, why? That's right. Of course, the Brook's window is all but blocked up, isn't it? Yeah. But it's a little gap in the bricks where you can see into the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. That's called stalker, okay. The question is, sir, why? Yeah. Well, now that's because he's on my list. What a piece of work is a man. Wherefore wouldst thou not stare in wonderment? What are you talking about? This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray thee, pay him no heed. Make no more ado by his tedious words. Okay. What did you say, Bummy? Calm yourself. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question, nothing more. Indeed, that is so. And, as the testimony we have just heard clearly reveals, there was no other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. I mean, you could have. The gas guy. What's the stripe thing on Meterman's back? Was there something? Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of this trial. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with a cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Wait, final already? I highly doubt that. Let's see. Only about neighbor did cometh an evening bearing gift of tea. If you guys both drank it, then that's conclusive evidence. Or that's evidence. To be clear, my neighbor. By neighbor, you are referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume? Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou wouldst I call him, the man from upstairs. And at what time did the mustache Nipponies visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details of which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we were embroiled in such a literary debate as history hath not seen before. By which I presume he means a discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet? I, Shakespeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbour played the fair Juliet, each of us dressed as would our characters be, to bring weight upon our merry experiment. Are you Romeo right now? I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the eastern art of jujitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea of the accused brought to your room? My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I will do thy bidding. Been over point I think is meant to look like the back of B. Oh, okay, we'll see. The merry bitter was the drink. Okay. He drank it. When did he drink it? Let me stop you there. Miss Natsume left her room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. Oh my god, his movements. Here we're gonna see if anyone's drawn Natsume's Juliet. Okay. The defendant had really put the poison into your tea. That 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly, it is an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea not whilst my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour post midnight, barely were my lips parched. That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amidst such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again. And who was stronger? Mr. Shakespeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. Oh, we all know what that means. Nothing else. Okay. So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper? Fie on luxury, fie on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time and money. Sorry? I would that my belly were full no more oft than a sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence is it that there doth not in my chamber be then the costumes of mine art. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. Oh, why would a rodent even be there? If there's no food, they would just leave. Now I think of it, it's not just the food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single play or script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. What? You've eaten them? Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Oh dude, it's like Doraemon. You print the math that you need to learn into bread and you eat the bread and you remember it. It's like that. Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now can you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea. I mean, it could have been the paper he ate. Someone knows he eats paper, then I think that's fine too. Outside his blocked window, freezing. Okay. Why were you there, legit? The windows of the house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there. All bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. How do you know that? I was looking in through that gap. Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? For some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights, but them's my orders, and that's what I'll keep doing. As long as there's breath in my body. Maybe you're... I don't know, that's suspicious. Why the heck? Found them? Lol. What's with the theoreticals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meter Man, after the accuser had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No. He never left. He was in that room the whole time as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, that's true. It's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Yes, must simply explain, counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with the logic. No one else visited his room, but that short little... Okay. Last Mata. You say a short little round-backed eastern fella. So you can't be sure it was a defendant then? It could have been me! How many other short little round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice a mustache. But he showed up around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shakespeare drink tea together? Nah, sorry, I couldn't say. Oh, because he couldn't even see the mustache. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? And what I did see was the silhouette of that little pretty round back fellow wearing a pretty dress. And a pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. Huh. I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. Mr. Man, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gasman's honor. Oh. Cool, because I couldn't find anything anyway. My lord. Goodness me, yes, Mr. Foreman. I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yes! Are we to understand that you, ladies and gentlemen— oh my god, it's the thing again. The summation, duration, whatever thingy. In agreement with one another. That you've reached an anonymous decision. Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes! Wait, no! The defense is in the middle of cross-examination! To be honest, I was holding out on a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you'd identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it. Barney, and what difference do they make? None as far as I can see. And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 bob home with me tonight, the missus will blow her top. What's that? Oh, so sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. Very well, let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to defendant's culpability. Yuzai. Ooh, time to break all their beliefs. All of you? Dude, it's like the 5th time it's happened, I swear. Will no appear that the jury is indeed anonymous. I want some water too now. Ah. So, this time at least, it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. I want to be a shout more once I move apartments. Get up, Miss Nuttlehoodle, please! The trial isn't over yet! What do you mean, Mrs. Nuttlehoodle? Dude, have you lost your memory? Summation... duration or whatever. What about the information I found in this encyclopedia of British law I have? That obscure right that belongs to defense in these situations. Remember? Yeah, dude, how do you not remember? It was 6 months ago for me and I still remember. Examination? Oh, the examination. Yes, that's right. We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in British Court of Law, if we can reverse the decisions of a majority of the jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Low the mouse on your shoulder. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? Hey, every time I did it, I always won, so you can't say it's a bad choice. You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth. Certainly no other defense counselor in recent times has exercised their right to a summation examination. Because they all know that once the juror's mind is set, it cannot be altered. Yeah, dude, do you not remember like 3 trials before? Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. The court will proceed with a summation examination as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we all know about this young lad's tendency tenacity. And we're ready for it. Why is he the spokesman? Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find a defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. Judicial findings. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Wow. You judge on character way too early. Last time that happened, he was corrupt. Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accuser by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. Dude, you're all just judging by appearance. There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is the fraudman. For now, at least. Yeah, I really don't care, like, I just need this trial to end quickly. 3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know. Nothing at all. Straight up, apparently older phrase that I realized. No, what? Which one? Oh, I'll see. Fan lady has legit reason. That's true. He's not guilty. His credibility is still there for now. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shakespeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. Well, almost all of them. One of them is like, obviously, like, I saw it go home. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by strange theatrical movements. And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume has said appears to have registered at all. Well, here goes. Let's not forget. I've pleaded with the jury on Sosuke-san's behalf before, and it worked. So you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how it works. No, it's okay. Well, you're still very new to British law after all. That's true, I suppose. No, I don't need it. And Sosuke-san's fate is entirely in my hands now too. Well, again. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear her out. I wonder, should I let her talk me through again or not bother? No need. Thank you for the kind offer, Mr. Sato, but I got it. But I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused about anything at all, at any point you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. Well, she's like, I don't think so, but okay. I'll be here for you. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement. Finding two that are contradictory. Dude, you're just telling me exactly the same thing that she was going to explain. And pitching the corresponding jurors against each other. Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Just give deep breaths. Dude, Shakespeare in the back is a smile so triangle. Okay, that's it. Okay, need to mata everything. Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? I've no doubt about it. Like that shaky client of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar. I mean, remember the other guy that died from the fire. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was that Japanese man's tea. When you take the gas man's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. He knows the mouse and toe now. It's right there. It should make faces though, just like him, but oh well. Well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here. I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same. Isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps. Though I don't see it happening. Yeah, what's that? I'm really gent on the end here, you know. You'll have to speak up. Look, I don't really care about all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury then? Alright. Sir, I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. Okay. Oh, I changed it. Okay. This one. What the? Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid? No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is the victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid. So you say yet again. Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously, it's exhausting to look at him. I'm afraid he's not splendid at all. Splendid logic there, madam. Thank you so much. Stoops to the wall, his mustache very fishy. No, not one of those things is a reason to find the man guilty. But he is fishy, there's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese, he has a mustache, and he stoops. You see, you arrive at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps, like a waltz, in fact. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance. You seem to be several steps ahead of yourself, though, and you're on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. I should turn my thing down. Wait. Oh, my mouse always doesn't work properly. Oh well. Or if you'd like a dance of deduction. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Wait, let me turn this a bit down. And then move closer to the mic like this. I don't know. Okay. Tell me if it's too low or something. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big-chinned man next to him says, isn't it? Actually, not go. It's okay. 1. He says he saw the Japanese man there. 2. He saw no one else. And 3. He saw the Japanese man there. Oh, that was 2 things. That's another 3 steps. All this really does seem more and more like a waltz, doesn't it? Right. And the prosecution will waltz its way to victory if I let you speak much more. There's no evidence to suggest... for now. A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madame? It really is a most tiresome problem for the company. Most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence. Is she from the gas? We can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued. I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you? I know who she. I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company. Oh. Good gracious, Altamont Gas, you say? Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office will be the first to agree. Absolutely, lady, could be used properly. Altamont Gas is the best in the world, of course. I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, he bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? So would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shanspeare was up to in his room? I'm afraid that there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go in order to steal our gas. Wait, what? He's on a higher floor, though. So I really have no choice when the company identifies someone as a possible fraudsman. To dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night, we're very thorough in our investigations. So you mean Mr. Shanspeare is... I wouldn't come out and say it in public. But you can finish a sentence with a grubby little gas thief. Oh. You've noticed the public gallery in here, have you? The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin. But seraphs hear not insults, only choirs of angels in song. He's just talking about random things. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find it. And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in an Altamont gas explosion. So Mr. Shanspeare has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement. My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping the thief apart you enjoyed? A little before the part about object violence, if it's not too much trouble. Yes, of course. This could be it. This could shift the balance. Yeah, I know, I figured. Now you know that he's a thief. You and you. Liar. Well, it's not a liar. Maybe this guy. Let's try this guy. But let me save first. Save. Yeah, I'm gonna go with her and him. He's more at least I'm taking not a liar, but those two statements clearly contradict each other. To be gracious. To what statements? Juror number 1. What are you yelling about, lad? Okay, it was correct. I presume you've heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of Ultimate Gas? Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much. It's true, we don't have evidence as such, just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know. What? You heard me. Seeing as his operation has already been compromised, I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there. I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's honor. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show you that Mr. Shakespeare was a liar, you assured me that you would consider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I'll hold to it. As I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. Well, if it means you recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground. You should not be in a part of juror, dude. Oh no, not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with. In that case, I shall change my leaning. So, Mr. William Shakespeare, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are. Oh. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty. Yes, Mr. Nuthodo. Victory! Well, he's not victory yet, but... Order, order. Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jurors' leaning has changed. Now only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord, and order the trial to continue. Oh, why? How dare they? I just want to go home and eat lunch. No, I have a child to take care of. I know that. Yeah, why you continue this all? You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shakespeare. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim. He's covering his eyes. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men, so God mend me. I do swear. Because he's poor. This gas man speaketh that which concerns him most, not but gas, not but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul. What did you say? Do I take it, Mr. Shakespeare, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery? Most heartily, my lord. Hast thou forgot? I am as a seraph, an angel. Noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily, honest of heart. Are you thoroughly mouthed pompous being pulled just because I haven't got the evidence yet? Mr. Shakespeare, if In fact, you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart. If you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time, no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh no! However, in light of the fact the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further. I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas in this case are unrelated. Juror number 4! Yes? Didn't you say before that, although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been selling gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him? That's right, we do. Don't we, worker? Absolutely, Lady Quinby, Gasman's honor. Very well, then. We will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, has been stealing gas. Yes, my lord, it will be my pleasure. Only ultimate gas name, I swear. If I may, my lord. Go ahead, madam. This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind. Wahoo! Yeah, sweetest honey! Yeah. Oh, wait, what? Isn't she just gonna, like, shut you up if you say something weird? Very well, as an exception, I shall honor your request. Thank you, my lord. You're right to the boss here gives you an earful. Oh, it's gonna sting you, mark my words. What? So you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the Ultimate Gas Company's fuel. Yes, is that clear, my good man? Clear as ultimate gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world. Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Mrs. Seto? I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay. Oh. I like the color scheme. It's like yellow and brown. Gas company investigation. I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and meter money collector agent. Automatic gas meters accept through penny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas. Gas can be gorgeous. And yet, the meter in Miss Shanspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with though, and a collection agent has the only key. Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is? That is suspicious. If he's using gas especially. Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irrelevance of this testimony caused me to turn to my hallowed chalice. What do you mean by that, Lord Vajix? Did the mustache Nipponese poison the gangling excuse for an actor? Or the mustachioed Nipponese poison the gangling excuse for an actor, or didn't he? That's all that should concern this court. And yet now we must listen to this abhorrence. Ooh, the wine. Clearly what separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation is more than geographical distance. But this could turn out to be a crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead. Oh my god, stop wasting wine, dude. Do what you will. Lord Van Zeeks appears to be in a violent mood. Yeah, you think? Yes, he does. An attempted poisoning, and an incidence of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance, but I wonder, the truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places, and the first step in uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is. I don't know, there's that thing with the soap that he's smuggling and stuff, I feel like. Okay. Oh. Yahoo! おはようございます。あ、こんにちはです。英語やってますけど。Peterman. Okay, let's go with this. また。はい、ニコ、ありがとう。So does that mean you enter people's houses in order to empty their gas meters? That I do. I have to try to catch people when they're in. Then I ask permission to come inside and do my business. Does that mean you've been into Mr. Natsume's room as well? Before, as well as that of Mr. Shamspear? Well now, interesting you should bring that up, because I couldn't believe how little money was in his meter. I mean, how could the pair of them survive winters beyond me? It really is. Knowing Mr. Natsume, he probably spends all his gas money on books. And then... oh, oops. And then when he's finished reading them, he probably burns them for warmth. Wow, he burns the books for warmth. That's sad. You will kindly reiterate your statement about the gas meters himself, Mr. Meter Man. Not much to say, really, but as you wish. Automatic gas meter accepts 3 pence bits each coin giving... okay. So all London houses that have a gas supply are fitted with these gas meters, are they? They're the latest model, the height of technology, developed by our company, Ultimate Gas. Anyone who uses our gas will have one of these meters in their property, yes. So if a 3 pence coin gives 2 hours of gas, most people would use about 3 coins in a night? A bit more than that usually, if they have both gas lights and a gas stove, that is. Thinking about it, Suzuki-san doesn't have a fireplace in that room of his, does he? Some people still choose to use candles, of course, and only have gas for heating. Yes, I do remember seeing candles in Mr. Natsume's room, actually. And how does the money in the meter get back to you at the gas company? Every 3 days, gasmen like me visit properties on the gas supply and empty the meters of coins. Wow, that's annoying. I mean, takes a while. I must say, the design and manufacture of the new meter cost the company an awful lot of money. But happily, it did put a stop to people not paying their dues, for the most part. Because they have to pay in advance, you mean? Yes, exactly right. And yet the meter in Mr. Shaw's room didn't have a single coin in it. Out of interest, how long has this been going on? Weeks and weeks he's been pitching gas off us for ages. And you've examined the meter in Mr. Shamspear's room, I take it? Naturally, we took it off the wall and went over it with a fine-tooth comb. And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume? No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I demanded a new type of meter to be produced. One with an indestructible lock. A Shamspear special. Specifically for him. That sounds like it would have cost an awful lot of 3 pennies. But even after all that, the rascal's meter was still empty. I'll never forget the humiliation when I opened up the money box and found it bare. You what? I said, you what? And the look on his face, that smarmy smile of his. I pulled the meter straight off the wall and took it back to the office. But you know what? Nothing. Not a trace of it being jemmied open anywhere, not a single sign. And what's happening to my salary as a result? Down by 3 shillings a day, that's what. A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. His non-existent armband. Incidentally, what became of that meter? Nothing became of it. I safeguarded. Oh. Right here. Oh, evidence, thank you. No wonder they call you Meterman. I think it would be prudent for the court to sequester this item while the trial is ongoing. The meter dispenses gas for a set time after a coin is inserted. It sports a very strong lock developed specifically with Mr. Shamspear in mind. Hello? Definitely. Although at first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything unusual about it. Let's move this along, shall we? Continue with your testimony. Though I would say it has much value as the contents of that meter. I mean 0. Okay, wait, let's look at the meter. That's a very sturdy looking padlock, isn't it? And the money box is sealed with beeswax too. So if Mr. Sholmes were to get up to any mischief, he'd be found out immediately. Mr. Naruhodo, mischief of that kind is not the sort of thing that Mr. Holmes would... You know he didn't finish that sentence, don't you? Well, anyway, it's understandable that the gas company would want to safeguard the money that's rightfully theirs. But it does feel a little over the top, perhaps, doesn't it? Where's this button? Nothing? Oh! This is a money box. He puts it in and then he... Is the coin this small though? I think it'd be bigger. Oh, what's this? Have you spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo? Dude, do you think they would have found this? Just here. There's a little hole, do you see? Goodness, you're right. I wouldn't have noticed. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say. So, you think it might have been opened up by Mr. Shamspeare? Possibly. It seems the people at Altamont Gas must have missed it. How would they miss that? Well, it certainly seems to go all the way through to the inside. Yes, but there's no way a coin would fit through there. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That's true, but even so, it seems more than a little suspicious. Nothing. I guess that's it. Doesn't appear to tamper with. Oh. I mean, it's definitely been tampered with. Save. Save. Present. It's been tampered with. Her umbrella looks like a bee. I think about it. Wait, I just realized you mentioned Sanoni that the guy looked like a bee too, right? She also looks like a bee. They're all bee related or bee themed. Lady Altamont, I'm afraid to say, but this meter clearly does show signs of having been tampered with. What? Get away! I've been over and over to think. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it. In that case, what do you have to say about the small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box? Oh, what hole? You're right. You're quite right. There's a little hole there. The meters aren't supposed to have that. None of the others do. How did he miss that? In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamspeare secretly opened up this hole himself. Yes, I wouldn't be at all surprised. But why? Yeah, why? I mean, there's Tiny. You could get a farting through that. You couldn't get a thing. Lady Altamont, can you get gas through that? I wonder if you'd give the court some more details about your meter design. What sort of details? I was thinking dismissive but not noticing. Hello. Need these glasses. How it differentiates coins? How it's dismantled? I don't know. Maybe this one. How can the meter be dismantled? Dismantled? Yes, given that there are no signs of it having been forced, I'm wondering if perhaps rather than being broken open, it might have been taken apart. Yeah, that's also a thing. Well, yes, it does make some sense. Yeah, there are screws on the back. Padlocks are made by a first-class locksmith from the finest quality steel, and the meter box itself is made from plate steel as well. Hold it shut to ensure it can't be opened again. I can assure you, it's quite impossible to dismantle it. But you can get the coins out, right? Because you need to get the coins out. Wow, yeah, nothing leaks from an Altamont meter. No gas, no coin, no nothing. There was water though in his place, dripping. I see. The witness will amend her foremost testimony with that information in case it is important. As you wish, my lord. I think it's the... There's like what? The weld is shut and the lock is made from solid steel. There's no way to dismantle it. I don't know, these screws in the back look like you could do something. So there's other evidence. How is he using the gas? That's what I want to know. How do you know that he's been using gas though? Well, now, since I started investigating this block, I've been to his room more than a few times, and on every single occasion, his lamps have been blazing and his stove pounding. It's the middle of winter, and he still turns to me, sweat dripping down his cheeks, and says, "Get thee to a nunnery." Hamlet and Dale. You're right, I could wring the block's neck. I get all hot under the collar, but still, every time I open up that flaming meter, it's empty. He's robbing me of my salary too. What's wrong with the world? What's the justice? But how can Mr. Shakespeare possibly be stealing the money? I don't understand. Simple explanation is right before your eyes. What? What is it? Toast. To eventually realizing that the gas man could be an accomplice. Oh yeah, there was that, I guess. You what? Good lord, eminently plausible indeed. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? Oh please, Lady Quimby, I'm a faithful worker. And besides, if the money us gasmen collect doesn't tally with how much gas has been used, you dock our pay by the same amount. Yeah, there's no point then. So you'd be stealing money only to have the same amount taken from your wages. Really, that makes no sense. Perhaps it's a case of losing the battle to win the war? No. I'm not gonna stir up that hornet's nest. And by stealing from the company, I'll be finished. It would seem that there is no evidence to support the claims of thievery made against the victim, because Mr. William Shakespeare is innocent. How would you know that? One of them's obviously, like, lying. Pray forgive me if that shatters some illusion my Lord Nippon's friend was clearly under. You don't mean that anyway, but oh well. I clearly didn't expect to uncover another crime that looks like it's been taking place in the very same room. According to the testimony, it's only the meter in Mr. Shakespeare's room that's under suspicion. It does seem as though perhaps it has nothing to do with the incident involving Mr. Natsume. I know it does seem that way, but the fact is, since I've been practicing law in England, I feel like I've encountered this at least once already. Cases that are interlinked. Oh, it might seem that two cases have nothing to do with one another at first, but in fact, they're intimately connected. Yes, we have experienced that before, haven't we? I wonder if this is another instance. Perhaps, but we can't be sure of that yet. If the Ultimate Gas Company has been investigating Mr. Shakespeare so earnestly, there must be something to it. But then how has he been managing to steal our gas? I think it's the water in this room, still. I think it's this part, because they corrected this part. Man, what if it shows here? What? Yeah, this pile of water here, it's like weird. Do you need to dismantle this? You could just dismantle like the pipes that connect to it, no? What was that thing actually? It disappeared. What the heck? What the heck? Oh! This bar of soap. When we first found it, I could have sworn there was something sort of round disc in this depression just here. Wait, what? A reddish one. Yes, you're right. I remember it too. But now the depression is completely empty. Where could the disc have gone? What? Wait, legit? I thought we had it in our inventory the whole time. What? How significant? About dismantling it? Wait, there's a lock here, right? Maybe it looks different. Let me see. Look at that one and then look at this one. I assume the gas goes through here. Maybe. Actually, don't know. Is the thing there? It looks like the beeswax is still there, though. This does bother me, though. Hmm. Has anyone ever tried? Oh, I need to do it again. Oh yeah, they've tried, but they all given up before long. After all, if they actually broke the meter, the company would be able to take legal action. Yes, that makes sense. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Is its wheel welded steel construction significant? Or perhaps there's another— oh yeah! There's something else I could have asked, I forgot. Another aspect of the meter's construction that we should be focusing on. Yes, you may be right. Perhaps I should try a different tack here. Like asking about the meter, how the meter differentiates coins, for example. Yep. How does the meter tell the difference between different coins? What do you mean? Well, for example, if someone were to put in a 1 penny coin, that wouldn't work presumably, would it? No, of course not. So, well, how does the meter know that the coin it's been fed is through a penny bit? Is that 3 penny? I don't know. Ah, I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells coins apart by their shape and size, which includes their thickness. A 3 penny bit is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you see? Other coins just won't fit. That's what the soap was for. It was the soap. That thing that disappeared. Was it like ice or something? I don't know. Or like, it's melted. It's like melted candle wax or something. And the soap was the mold, maybe. 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Ah, I see. It's clearly been very well thought out. Yeah, it's the soap. The witness will amend her formal testimony with that information in case it's permanent, whatever. As you wish, my lord. It is designed for coins of the exact diameter and things of a 3 penny bit. Let me, I think it's this one. I need to give the soap. Let's try this one. Oh, it's not this one. BGM didn't stop. Nope. Undeniably. Undeniably. Ha 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 ha. Haha, my bad. Darn it. Where did it go? Maybe we need to solve that first. Let me ask again. But conversely then, it would seem that anything matching a 3-pence coin exactly in terms of diameter and thickness would equally well be used. Would that be true? Well, yes, in a way. The weight comes into it to a certain extent as well. I thought of that though. Anyway, if I find any fake coins inside the coin box when I empty the meter, the contract says the company has to pay 100 times the amount they diddled as a fine. We live for moments like that. Us guessmen do. Live for them. Ha 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 ha. They would seem that the gas company has thought of everything. Wow, hurry for gas, hurry for cash, ultimate all the way. That's quite enough of that. Remind me, how big are the through penny pits? Oh, now we do the soap? About 3/4 of an inch across. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Is this 2 centimeter measurement significant? Or perhaps there's some other aspect of the meter's construction that we should be focusing on, no? Yes, you may be right. Perhaps I should try a different type. No. That's good. We dismantle. No. Let's return to testimony. Of course, my lord. As I was saying, ultimate meters are unsurpassed. They can't be manipulated. Oops. Skip. Oh, no. Skip. Wait, I don't know. I know it's that coin thing, but I don't know where it went. That would be evidence. I think he like put wax in there and then he like burned the bottom of it to make the wax melt and it drips this hole. Which is why there was a whole water thingy looking thing over here. It's probably wax or something. Or ice. It could be ice, I guess. It's probably ice more than that. Huh? I can click it again. There's a circular depression on the side. Oh, about 2 centimeters ago. Okay, dude. Now I have to click this again? Or 3/4 of an inch. Ah, do you think? We did find the soap at the scene, didn't we? Yes. Yes, there were 2 bars on that little ledge just outside the window. So we took this one. I'm sure that when we first found it, there was some sort of reddish medallion in the middle there. I remember it clearly. I think it's candle wax. Yes, but there's no sign of it now. Where could it have gone? Oh. Oh, see, the answer was a soap. Dude, I was correct. Let me just confirm something here. Is it just me or is the inside of his mouth like blue? I don't know though. Your mouth. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, see when he talks, is blue. Oh no, that's his teeth, lo. The meter would accept any object as if it were a threepenny bit, correct? Yes, that is correct. Well, by something of a coincidence, while we were investigating Mr. Shakespeare's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly. Something the size of a threepenny bit? What was it? The item in question. The item in question is this. Where have you been inhaling gas as a bar of soap? It certainly looks nothing like a threepenny bit, I must say. It looks like I'm going to have to point out exactly what I mean here. Yes, dude. What's so important about the bar of soap is this part here. Kokoda? You have to turn over the soap to see what I mean. Are you referring to that round depression in the middle of the soap there? That's right, a depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Or in other words, almost exactly the same size as a threepenny bit. Get to work! Does anyone here have in their possession a threepenny bit? Quickly now, hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it? Dun dun. Dun. Dun dun. Thanks to a card member in the public in the gallery, I have here a threepenny bit. I don't know how much it costs. Oh, this is 3 low. Now to see if it fits. My word, it couldn't be more snug. Yes, as I suspected. This, without a doubt, is a vital clue to explain how the Ultimate Gas Company is being defrauded. Well, I don't believe it. Dude, another glass. Who's paying for these things? So, your assertion amounts to what? That some inferior bar of soap has a tentative connection to the theft of gas? Yes. A depression in soap was clearly made by a threepenny bit. I must concur at least that pushing a coin with some force into a poor quality bar of soap such as this is a remarkably simple way of replicating the coin's shape. And then you could use, well, some melted wax or something to pour into the mold. Yeah, see, we thought that too. You can make fake coins in no time. How do people actually do this then? For coins? Do they need to check the material as well? How would you do that? This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. Oh, maybe they have like a chip or something. I don't know. Yeah, how do people do that? Nowadays. Or like coin machines and stuff. It's the method Mr. Shakespeare has been using to steal the gas. That's the missing link. And now, if I follow the chain of thought, it's going to bring me to a new explanation for what happened that nobody's considered yet. Wait, I haven't thought about it yet. Dude, let me think about it. What? This is all nonsense. If the man had been making fake coins, my worker here would have found them when he emptied the meter. Quite true, Lady Altamont. In the absence of some black magic that could make them disappear. Yeah, like melting it. I think he thought of that too. I see. That's what we're dealing with, is it? There is one form of black magic that could cause the fake coins to disappear into thin air, yes. Exactly. And the meter here gives it away. What on earth? There are remnants of the magical method used, visible on the gas meter taken from the victim's room. If that is your assertion, counsel, the defense will identify these remnants for the court at once. Law, which part? Where on the meter can a remnants of the get to be used to make the fake coins disappear be seen? Kokora! We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime, just outside the victim's window. Outside? Yes, outside, where you, yourself, Mr. Meter Man, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found this soap. Ugh, I get it. Wait, you get it? That's right, the answer, of course, is ice. Oh, I thought of the ice part too, actually. Although it was red, though. I don't know what the red thing then is. Did you say ice? Mr. Shakespeare has been leaving soaps like this outside his window each evening, filling with— oh, so he's putting outside to make it iced. And then he puts it in, and then it melts into the floor. Okay. That explains the putting it outside then. Is it cold enough to, like, ice? But okay. After a night outside in the bitter cold, the water is completely frozen solid the next morning. Then he takes his fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in spades. As his room becomes very comfortably warm, the ice now inside the meter's coin box melts, turning back into water and draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter. That is how, without leaving any evidence of his wrongdoing, this man has been stealing ultimate gas. Is there evidence though? Just like that. So simply. Is he trying to make us look like idiots? He's been fooling us all with some bars of soap and some water? That's right, madam. I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we spent to develop that new meter? Now you have the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless? Well, time to get a new meter. I'm fairly sure I didn't design it. Evidence! I mean, the fact that he's stealing it, like, dude, like, the point is that if it works, if you try it and it works, then that's evidence. Sorry? I want evidence. If you're going to stand there and tell me our meters are rubbish, I want to see proof. She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she? She looks so scared. Non-existent armband right there again. Very well, Lady Adamant. If you like evidence, I'll provide it. What? Mr. Naruto, are you saying you do actually have evidence to support this theory? Yeah, the pile of water on the bottom. I did notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. I did. And I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with now could explain it. The piece of evidence that substantiates the theory about how Mr. Shakespeare has been saying gas is this picture. This is a photograph of the scene at the point when the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson, and it clearly shows remnants of the crime carried out by Mr. Shakespeare. What remnants? Oh, I don't have to point it out. Here you can see the gas meter on the wall in Mr. Shakespeare's room. Now look closely at the floorboards directly underneath the meter. What is that? Some kind of grubby stain. Almost certainly, it's a water stain resulting from liquid that drained out of the hole made in the meter. Ugh! If one coin gives around 2 hours of gas usage, an occupant was heating his room in all his waking hours. You can imagine he would have used around 10 of his fake coins each day. Melting ice inside the meter's coin box would have been dripping out almost constantly, leaving a stain on the floor. He should have put a sponge or something there. This is awful. And there's further evidence too. Wait, what? There is? Mr. Shakespeare is slumped over his table, apparently having consumed strychnine. And right there next to him is a bar of soap, broken in half. Why is it broken in half? I actually didn't understand that part. You're right. It would appear to me then, counsel, that the man was eating the soap, was he? What? Pardon me for disagreeing with your lordship, but certainly not. He didn't beat about the bush there, did he? In truth, Mr. Shakespeare was found with a fork in his hand. The meal soap is sounding increasingly likely, Lord Benson. Do you mean to say he was using that fork to do what? To do what? Wait, wait. I haven't understood this. Wait, let me think about it. get rid of evidence? That he's... I don't know, that red thing so concerns me though. I don't know. To extract a frozen coin from the bar sub. Oh, that's what you mean. You think that'd be easier way though? Oh! But the bar broke in half. So perhaps it didn't go very well. Good gracious. Oh, they are both like bees on the back. Love, he throws at us. Lord Van Zeeks. I was throwing my hand up in despair and my wine bottle at the same time. And happened to catch my hallowed bottle on the way. Pray forgive my maladroit mistake. What is the meaning of this, counsel? Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination? Well, he's a fake and a liar. That Mr. William Shakespeare, or Shamspeare, is a liar and a thief. In other words, that his testimony is unreliable. That's it. That's exactly it. Very well, let's assume the man is a liar. Now allow me to pose another question. What possible difference? Yeah, there's already two witnesses. Natsume saying that he went in the room, and the guy saying that no one else went in the room. What possible difference does that make? Well, we know that suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigation revealed no sign of another vessel that contained poison. And on the night in question, there was no visitors to the room except the accused. The young gasman's testimony, which we have no reason to doubt, has confirmed that. Yeah, I figured that too. Furthermore, the only possible way the poison could have entered the victim's body is via the tea. Of course, I see no evidence whatsoever that suggested us otherwise. He could have ate something else. That thing about the thing passing through his mouth, only tea is only from the victim. Even if William Shakespeare is the liar you claim him to be, these facts have been objectively established. There's no escaping it. Okay. Therefore, in light of these facts, the prosecution name calls for immediate adjudication. What? Please. Order. Well, counsel, how does the defense respond? Mr. Nadado! What was the point of that last cross-examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? Or did it make no difference at all? Like Lord Van Zeeks is saying. Wait. I assume there was something. It means he could have eaten something else. No! This isn't over. The defense will not rest. What? But counsel, you've successfully explained everything. You've identified and substantiated the unscrupulous method employed by Mr. Shakespeare to consume gas. What more is there to discuss? Lord Van Zeeks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point. But contrary to what he would have the court believe, not all of them have been objectively established at all. Yeah, exactly, the T one. What are you trying to say, my bunny's friend? At least one of those so-called facts is an assumption, made due to a lack of evidence. But the situation has changed now, following the cross-examination of the latest witnesses to take the stand. Don't be absurd. What is this nonsense? Yes, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. There's a question that we now need to reconsider, namely, was the poison in the tea? Dude, I say this the whole time. Natsume must have drank the tea too. We've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that afflicted Mr. Shakespeare was in the tea brought to him by Mr. Natsume. But that's conjecture at best. The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There's no other possibility. Could have been like inhaled too much gas or something. And since there was no trace of the tea left the scene, it couldn't be tested for a trace of poison. How do you know that poison was used then? On his body? As I said, the situation has changed. Because in fact, some of Mr. Natsume's tea was left at the scene. And a particular piece of evidence proves it. Wait, which one? Ludicrous claim. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exhaustively. What evidence are you suggesting they missed? Was it the red tea? Was it actually red tea poured into the soap? Well, that's a waste of tea then. Why would he do that? The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, counsel. Present your proof. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? Save. I don't know which one it is. I thought it'd be the teacup at first. Ah? This thing evaporated, right? I feel like this one might have poison, but so would this cup. Nature of the defendant's tea. He drank it? Let's try this one. What exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal? Oops. Well, I suspect it may possibly be related to tea in some small way if we dig deep enough. Ah. Thank you for a long time indeed, my learned friend. Oh. Even at the bottom of the deepest chasm. No sense. There's no sense. Okay, wait. And then the soap? I mean, I think if the soap had... if the soap had evidence of poison, I would think the teacup would too. Let's try this one. Good gracious! The soap again. The same bar the victim used to fashion his coins of ice. If he used tea, that's why it was red. But the red disc has already evaporated. So do I know, right? That's what I'm thinking. If it's evaporated, I think it'd be the same as the tea ring on the cup. Yes, that's right, my lord. It just came back to me. Something about when we first found this bar of soap at the scene yesterday. It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap? Oh, if they're still at the ledge of the counter, it might still be there. Then yeah, you can use that as evidence. If those are actually tea. It's not this bar of soap, maybe it's the other bars of soap. I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon the bars of soap, there was actually a frozen coin in each bar. So you discovered the gas thief's coin factory. Fascinating. Yeah, but it was tea. It was red. In a way, yes, but there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice. But why would you waste tea if you think about it? Like, if it was me and I'm poor, and I just drink the tea and then use regular water. Unless water costs more, costs more expensive than the tea someone brought, I don't know. There was something strange about them, you mean? Exactly. Something very obviously strange. They were red. The ice was red? No, you mean... That's right. It's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap were made from frozen tea. What? I would remind the court of a statement made by Mr. Natsume earlier in this trial. That evening, yes, I do take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shakespeare's room. As a gift, the public pump outside always freezes at night. Oh! Right, it freezes at night. So I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never want to touch tea again ever, so there's no water to use, so I use tea. Yes, wait, he could have had a cup or something that had water, but whatever. Like, you know, just keep it overnight, usually, or something, but whatever. Yes, I believe there had been a snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, the poorly constructed water mains in the east end are prone to freezing. So the night in question, Mr. Shakespeare, having no running water to use, was forced to use the tea brought by Mr. Natsume in order to make his fake coins. My word! There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I investigated the scene. I hope no one took it. That's right, and we only borrowed one of them. Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime, frozen solid in a bar of soap outside Mr. Shakespeare's window. You can test that for poison. Extraordinary. Watch that actually have poison though. That defeats our whole theory. Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that if even one drop of the tea remained, Scotland Yard would be able to analyze it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until now been mere conjecture. By finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsume's tea actually contained strychnine at all. Strychnine? Strychnine? You smug Nipponese. My lord, we cannot do the defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bars of soap from the scene at once, and the defense requests a thorough analysis of the frozen tea embedded in it to determine whether or not it contains any poison. There's still remnants of the thing on the soap. I think it would be attested though. It's not like it evaporates with the water, right? Bailiff, instruct the police to attend the scene at once. Yes, my lord, understood. I like their bee outfits. Oh. I think it's strychnine? Okay, I'll go with that then. It would seem we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. Oh, it's the end of today? I trust you have no objection, Lord Van Zix. None, my lord. Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite tests immediately. The trial will resume at the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and defense may conduct further investigations as appropriate in the interim. Yes, my lord. Well, we managed to scrape through there somehow. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Oh, fine, we have it tomorrow. Nice. Oh, that was fast. Today was a fast. It was like 2 hours. Whoa. I'm tired. This was faster than usual. Whoop. Let me change to... Yeah, I guess that's the end of Ace Attorney for this time being. Investigation part 3. Oh my god, there's another investigation, which means we're going through the court again. Oh. Wait, sorry, I'm like going through this other thing. Give me a second. Oh my god, this thing. Let me clear this. It doesn't work that way. Oh, it does. What's going on? Seems to be up. Wait, let me wipe this. Oh. Is there BGM on this? There isn't. Anyway, I guess that's all for I should use this usually for like later time or something. Yeah. Let's go with Busy August Days BGM. Which one's that one? Let's go with Orchid. Play. Ah! There. Whew. And that's the end for today. And I'm good. And next weekend I'll do the same thing. And after that I plan to... I still haven't decided what game I want to play on the 15th though. 15, 14, somewhere around there. If I don't have plans, obviously. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll post on YouTube as well. I'll see you guys later. Time to eat lunch. I want chips, but I don't have any. I'm very sad. Inspector Gregson, how dare you always show up with chips all the time. Bye bye. Thank y'all. Bye next weekend.